1940, as the U.S. military recognized the need to build its forces in preparation for the large-scale warfare, the National Guard Bureau began looking at Kansas as a prime location for new units. Since Wichita had the necessary facilities, including the CAA Pilot Training Center, the local leadership urged state officials to designate Wichita as a squadron's home station.
Wichita was selected, and Paul Flannery, a Wichita resident and pilot instructor, was selected as the commander and set out to find recruits for the new squadron.
On August 4, 1941, the 127th Observation Squadron was federally recognized and a total of 110 men were sworn in. With an activation scheduled for October, the work had just begun.
Originally, the squadron trained at the Wichita Guard Armory, but because of its mission, they moved to the municipal airport and tents were set up for the members. The arrangement didn't last long since the unit was activated on October 8th and reported to Sherman Field near Fort Leavenworth on October 13th.
Before departing, the squadron members, together with a committee appointed by the Civic Organization in Wichita, received 85 designs for the squadron insignia, and the Flying Jayhawks were born.
According to Flannery,
the Jayhawk represents the state of Kansas since the state is known as the Jayhawk State. The bird perched atop the clouds indicates aviation and being in the air, which applies to this squadron. Also, the presence of the helmet and goggles adds to this impression. The observation angle is indicated by the binoculars hung around his neck.
After 3 years of preparation and training, the 127th Liaison Squadron left the port of Los Angeles on November 8, 1944, to support the British Army from the beginning of its Burma offensive and continued throughout the invasion of Rangoon. The squadron performed duties such as communications, aerial photography, and reconnaissance, as well as personnel and material transportation.
Orders came through to deactivate the squadron on November 15th, and the Guardsmen returned to the U.S. The unit's commander, Major John Noble, completed the deactivation, and of its original members, only 4 Kansans were left.
The unit reorganized in September 1946 and was redesignated the 127th Fighter Squadron with the F-51 Mustang as its main aircraft. The unit quickly grew to 250 guardsmen, including 2 full-time personnel.
In October 1950, the 127th Fighter Squadron, flying F-84s, was activated due to the outbreak of war in Korea. Airmen and equipment relocated to Alexandria Air Force Base, Louisiana, to join 4 other units to make up the 137th Fighter Bomber Wing. The base was not ready for such an influx of personnel, and the unit quickly encountered supply shortages.
In May 1952, troop movement became a focal point as the wing departed Alexandria Air Force Base for their first cross-Atlantic voyage to Chaumont, France. Upon fulfilling their wartime commitment, the 127th Fighter Bomber Squadron returned to McConnell Air Force Base in July 1952 after a 21-month activation.
The World War II and Korean War activations highlighted operations and maintenance functions. However, it was apparent that the logistics personnel deserved the credit for such rapid response and fluid mobility.
Upon returning home from France, the unit was designated the 127th Fighter Bomb Squadron. The Korean conflict created a shortage of F-84s, so the 127th was once again assigned F-51 Mustangs from July 1952 through June 1954. In May 1953, the 137th Maintenance and Supply Group, assigned to the Oklahoma Air National Guard, was authorized by the Kansas Air National Guard to be co-located in Wichita alongside the 127th Fighter Bomb Squadron.
In January 1958, the unit converted to the F-86 Sabre, which earned its fame during the Korean conflict. The mission for the unit was to provide air defense within the continental United States as part of the 20th Air Division. Pilots maintained daily watches and were ready to scramble their jets within 5 minutes of receiving an alert dispatch.
On October 1, 1962, the unit reorganized into the 184th Tactical Fighter Group. The newly formed group was made up of 5 organizations. The reorganization also added 160 positions to the unit, and by 1965, the unit was 100% manned with 700 members.
During the same time frame, the squadron's airplane tail flashes changed from yellow to red, and the red ball caps were also introduced. In 1968, the unit was a pivotal force during the massive call-up known as the Pueblo Crisis, ordered on January 25th by President Lyndon Johnson, in response to the capture of the Navy intelligence ship, the USS Pueblo, by North Koreans.
After short notice, 632 airmen and 248 tons of cargo were transported by airlift in Kunsan Air Base, Korea. The majority of the units served in Korea during the call-up, while many others were scattered among different air bases throughout Southeast Asia. Their main mission was to fly interception operations throughout the crisis. With the mission complete, the airmen of the 184th were welcomed home on June 19, 1969.
In March 1971, the group received 11 F-105 Thunder Chiefs. Along with the new airframe, the unit took on a training mission and was renamed the 184th Tactical Fighter Training Group. The new mission was to conduct combat aircrew academic and flight training in tactics, techniques, and operations of the F-105 and associated equipment.
Going hand in hand with the new mission, the 184th assumed scheduling functions for Smoky Hill Air Force Range near Salina, Kansas, which is now known as Smoky Hill Weapons Range.
In 1978, Colonel Theodore Kukulis, commander of the 184th Tactical Fighter Group, requested an official logo for the unit. Graphics specialist Dave Moyer designed the logo that was chosen. Like most artists, Moyer believed that every logo should include a fair amount of symbolism. The Jayhawk logo was drawn to represent the colonial-era militia. The original design had 13 feather points on the back, representing the 13 original colonies in America. The wide lapel on the neck symbolized part of the colonial uniform worn by the American forces. The colors red, white, and blue denoted the colors of the U.S. flag, and the yellow beak represented the warmth and peace of the nation. Although the Jayhawk is a fictitious bird, it portrayed the swift call to duty in which the Flying Jayhawks of Kansas were known for. With its head held high and straight forward, a piercing eye watches over the community, state, and nation. The red hats were soon upgraded with the new logo.
In October 1979, the group was redesignated as the 184th Tactical Fighter Group with the conversion to the F-4 Phantoms. However, the task of training Air Force, Guard, and Reserve air crews to the capabilities of the F-4 remained the primary mission. By the end of 1980, the Flying Jayhawks operated 55 aircraft and had 54 qualified instructor pilots and 29 weapon systems operators assigned to the unit.
In 1982, the 134th Tactical Control Flight officially became the newest organization assigned to the 184th. The 134th provided radar control interception training for the F-4 pilots and WSO students and instructors. Their combat role was to provide an extended eye using radar equipment which allowed them to control the airspace and detect the enemy threats.
In January 1987, the announcement was made that the 184th Tactical Fighter Group would convert from F-4s to F-16 Fighting Falcons. The first F-16s arrived in March, and in September, the 161st Tactical Fighter Squadron was federally recognized during a ceremony at a Family and Friends Appreciation Day. This made a total of 3 flying squadrons, with the 127th, the 177th flying F-4s, and the 161st flying F-16s.
In March 1990, the day finally came when the 184th Tactical Fighter Group watched the last F-4s depart McConnell Air Force Base. Although it was a sad day, they threw a heck of a celebration known as the Phantom Farewell. The parking ramp was wingtip to wingtip Phantoms, as almost every F-4 Guard unit was represented.
The B-1 conversion in 1993 was one of the most difficult conversions in the 184th's history. Changing from a fighter to a bomber airframe meant that very few people were qualified to maintain and fly the new planes. It was a completely new mission, and since the 184th was the first of its kind, there was little guidance for the road ahead.
On October 1st, 1995, the bomb group was upgraded to the 184th Bomb Wing. The wing was assigned to the Air Combat Command.
Throughout the late 1990s, the wing distinguished themselves in the bomber business. Through an agreement with the Air Combat Command, the 184th Engine Shop became the Engine Regional Repair Center and maintained engines from all Air Force and Air National Guard B-1B bases. They gained a reputation for creating the highest war-ready B-1 engine surplus in history by not only eliminating a 29-engine deficit, but also supplying 50 spare engines to the inventory.
On the operations side, the 127th Bomb Squadron flew B-1s to all corners of the world while performing global power missions in Japan, Korea, and Saudi Arabia. Additionally, they were involved in several international exercises. The Flying Jayhawks were once again best in the business, but in June of 2001, the Air Force announced that all Air National Guard B-1 units would lose their missions.
In September 2001, the unit gathered at the Pines for the official announcement. The 184th would receive 10 KC-135 Stratotankers, as well as several new missions to ensure manpower stayed the same. Many members protected their nation while supporting operations at home and abroad. In addition to the operations, the unit threw a bon voyage party to say goodbye to the B-1s in 2002.
On September 16th, the unit was formally recognized as the 184th Air Refueling Wing during a ceremony. New missions were unveiled, which included the 161st Intelligence Squadron, the 177th Information Aggressor Squadron, the 299th Network Operations Security Squadron, 184th Phoenix Raven Section, and the Flying Squadron was called the 127th Air Refueling Squadron.
The unit performed the air refueling mission with extreme pride, as well as conducted special duties like the medical evacuation mission. The wing was at the top of their game, again.
By this time, change had become a constant theme woven into the fabric of the 184th, but the unit soon experienced the biggest change in its history.
On Friday, May 13, 2005, the Base Realignment and Closure Commission recommended that the 184th transfer all 9 of their KC-135s to the 190th Air Refueling Wing in Topeka, Kansas. With that decision, the wing was projected to lose their flying mission altogether in 2007.
The year 2007 proved to be eventful for the unit. The 134th Air Control Squadron deployed their power generators to provide critically needed electricity after western Kansas was hit with a disastrous ice storm on January 1st. The wing also provided assistance to Greensburg in May after a tornado demolished about 75% of the town.
The day finally came when the airmen had to say goodbye to the KC-135s and their 66 years of superior air operations and maintenance. A ceremony, known as the Salute to the Flying Jayhawks, was held on September 8th to honor and remember the flying years and welcome the age of information dominance. During the event, the wing changed their mascot from the Flying Jayhawks to the Fighting Jayhawks. The last KC-135 took off the next day with a crowd of red-hatted Jayhawks waving goodbye.
Following the events, the wing converted to the 184th Intelligence Wing, the first intelligence wing in the Air National Guard.
Once again, the wing entered a building phase. Squadrons were created from ideas and manning documents. Buildings, including 37, 48, and 49, were remodeled to accommodate the new missions. The 134th Air Control Squadron moved into Hangar 41, and their vehicles were parked on the ramp that once held fighter planes. The new munitions squadron moved into buildings on both sides of McConnell Air Force Base, and the 284th Air Support Operations Squadron built a state-of-the-art compound at Smoky Hill Weapons Range. Building 36 was converted to the Jayhawk Roost, which served as a dining facility and gathering place for the guardsmen.
In 2009, the Air Force changed the utility uniform from the battle dress uniform to the air battle uniform. With the change, organizational hats were no longer authorized with the wear of the uniform, ending the red hat tradition.
Over time, the wing adopted the motto, "Many missions, one team." It no longer had one focus, such as putting airplanes in the sky or bombs on target. Rather, each of the missions within the wing were completely unrelated.
No matter, the airmen of the 184th Intelligence Wing rose above the challenges and completely revolutionized their operations. Whether it was intelligence, cyber warfare, network operations, close air support, or bomb range operations, the Fighting Jayhawks soared high and to this day continue to climb.
With constant change embedded into the DNA of the wing, the Air Guardsmen of Wichita, Kansas have proven time and again that any mission they're given will be carried out with unmatched innovation, pride, enthusiasm, and excellence. Those characteristics embody the spirit of the 184th Fighting Jayhawks.